Tasty treats might just become household names. A life-changing chance to take your dreams to the shelves. Aldi's next big thing continues tonight at 8. And that's after Tuesday's Channel 4 news. With the latest, here's Matt Frei in London and Jackie Long in Leeds.
It's taken a while in coming, hasn't it? But we'll get there in the end.
The hero of the scandal, persecuted by the Post Office and failed by government ministers. It was Alan Bates's day at the inquiry today, even as the Post Office was accused of still dragging its feet on justice. Good evening. His good cheer and mild manners hid the fact that Alan Bates has been battling the Post Office for 23 years now. In one letter, the unassuming hero of the biggest miscarriage of justice in British history called the Post Office management style Stalinistic. And yet, despite everything we now know, despite the level of public anger, it became obvious today that the Post Office is still not providing the crucial documents without which true justice cannot be fully served.
And good evening from Leeds. Police arrest a 25-year-old man on suspicion of murder after a young mother was stabbed to death in Bradford. Kulsuma Akhtar was killed in broad daylight on Saturday as she was pushing her baby in a pram through the city centre. The Foreign Secretary Lord Cameron visits the US as he says Britain won't stop selling arms to Israel. And if it's in a trip to Florida to meet former President Trump, what did they talk about?
On my dinner, I'm not going to relent from the fact that it was a private dinner, but we discussed geopolitical issues like Israel and Gaza, like Ukraine, like the future of NATO.
The group of Swiss women pensioners who took their government to Europe's highest human rights court over its failures to fight climate change and won. We'll speak to one of the activists about what it means to her and what it could mean for other countries.
So, today was the moment for the real Alan Bates to stand up as he was sworn in at the Horizon inquiry, delivering a brutal assessment of the Post Office bosses who hounded him and his colleagues and then tried to cover it all up. But perhaps the most damning thing to come out of today, the accusation from the inquiry's chair that even now the Post Office seems to be attempting to obstruct the entire process. Our chief correspondent, Alex Thompson, has been following the story.
Elizabeth Stern, thank you very much for speaking to us today. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. Good night.
Glorious. After the break, we're sticking with the environment and finding out why our national parks are in worse state than you might think. What can be done about it? Now, they are supposed to be Britain's most precious places. But as our national parks turn 75, there are warnings that many of them are, sadly, in crisis. The Campaign for National Parks, the organisation that originally lobbied for their creation, is releasing a new report tomorrow, seen by this programme, which reveals that only 6% of their landmass is recorded as being in good health for nature. They're calling on the government to transform how they're managed, to shift the focus to nature's recovery. Here's our chief correspondent, again, Alex Thompson. And that is all we have time for this evening. Thank you so much for watching. We are back at 7 o'clock tomorrow night, of course. Until then, that's Channel 4 News. Good evening.
A change is brewing. Channel 4 weather, sponsored by DeLonghi Bean to Cup coffee machines.